put it on me. You not gonna get it for free. Come spend that dirty, sexy money on me, on me, on me. You got to work. You know I love it when the music stops, but come and strip that down for me, baby. Now there's a lot of people in the crowd, but only you can dance with me. Some superhero, some fairy tale past, just something I can talk to, somebody I can kiss. I want something just
All right, welcome again. My name is Eric. I'm your host for today. Before we start, do allow me to introduce our moderator and also speaker, our first speaker for today, Miss Andrea Koderman. She specializes for the establishment of development of optimal HR processes in companies, expertly does comprehensive selection processes, introduces flexible job systematization, builds and establishes modern information support company competency models, establishes and handles employee development systems, and has motivational and inspirational workshops in the area of professional and personal growth of employees. She is also an expert and counselor in the field of labor law in the country of Slovenia. Well, without much further ado, I'll hand the stage over to Miss Andrea. Please give her a rousing response.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Hello from Slovenia. At first, I will share my PowerPoint. Just a moment. Can you see the presentation? No?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Now it's not working.
Don't worry. Maybe what we can do is you try sharing your screen instead of the application.
Yes, but I can't share now anything because the sharing button is not working. Okay. If there won't be any presentation, PowerPoint, then I will try without, if that's okay.
Okay. No worries.
Okay. Now, today I will talk about myself and how I changed in 2020. I must say COVID-19 was the main reason that let me change this year. When the epidemic started in Slovenia, I had a lot of fears and a million questions in my head. I asked myself many times, how long this situation will last? How will COVID-19 impact our business, our customers' business, and our economy? What will happen tomorrow? And are our jobs still safe? In March this year, there was a lot of doubts and uncertainty. Then there was the first lockdown in Slovenia, and we had to stay and work from home. I must say, we hardly worked from home before COVID, occasionally, once or twice a week. But before the epidemic has begun, my day started at 5 in the morning, and I usually had only a few minutes for morning coffee. I was always in such a hurry. By 6, I was already in the car, driving to work. I spent from 4 to 5 hours a day in my car almost every day, driving all over the country from one to another customer. That is why I never had enough time for myself, but COVID-19 changed that. The first lockdown and work from home in March has brought to me more spare time. Today, I wake up at around 6 a.m. I sleep 1 hour longer. I am better rested. I have more energy for work and some other activities. Because of COVID-19, at the beginning of this year, we were forced to make some changes also in our business. That means that we had to reorganize our business processes, selling processes. We also had to define a new communication tool and set a new virtual platform. We had to set new business goals and a new strategy. Today, I can say we managed to do it. But the biggest challenge was not only how to reorganize our company in this time of new normality, but also how to prepare and how to motivate our customers to start using our virtual services. At the same time, I have had a huge challenge. How do I stay motivated and engaged at work from home? How to stay effective, responsive, and supportive to my team and our customers? And mostly, how can I stay positive in this time of new normality? Now, when I started working from home, my biggest enemy was the refrigerator. It was always there and always full, and I visited it whenever I was in stress. So I had to change that. Trust me, this year was very, very stressful. And how did I manage to beat my enemy? What was my weapon? Time management at home. I started planning my working days, not only business activities, but also my spare time activities. What has COVID-19 brought to me in 2020? A flexible work time, more sleep. Now I'm better rested. I have more spare time. I have more time for my family, for my friends, and for myself. Today, I spend much less time in my car, from 4 to 5 hours less per day. This year, I have done 45,000 kilometers less with my car than I did last year. It is also very positive environmental impact. At the same time, I also realized I am now more productive when I work from home. Now, so what do I do today? Today, I can say I am living my life to the fullest. Working from home has changed my life. I have now enough time for gardening, walking, cycling, cooking, and working. And I usually went to my garden before and after work almost every day of this year. Now you cannot see the slides, but I had my picture of the garden on the slides, so I apologize for that. So I went every morning and after work to my garden. Now, all these physical activities in spare time help me to relax myself and help me to stay positive. Since the second lockdown in Slovenia, from the October, it was much easier now for me. I was prepared. I already had plans what I will do if we will have to stay at home again. I had plans for my garden. Now, we have rejuvenated our garden. This time it was teamwork with my family. I planned activities for all my family members. My husband and son helped me with my project. So I was the project manager and at the same time also the main worker. My husband was the main carrier. He was responsible for transport. He had provided all the materials that I needed, stones, saws, and so on. And my son helped me to lay those stones on my yard. We have moved more than 7,000 kilos of stones and soil in 5 days. That was the great team building at home. I had a picture of my new garden. That was a fruit garden, but I can't show you right now. But I can say we also planted on this garden blueberries, raspberries, currants, figs, and some other fruits. Why am I telling you this? Because I realized physical activities are my anti-stress program. They're helping me in this time of COVID-19. They're helping me to stay focused on our business challenges. Now, this year I didn't rejuvenate only my garden, but COVID-19 brought me new habits which have helped me to rejuvenate my mind and renew my life. Of course, I miss hanging out with my colleagues at the office, but that is why I call them mostly every day. That is why we have virtual business meetings weekly. That is why we have virtual coffee morning meetings. We are staying connected and we keep supporting each other in this time. Today, we are as successful at work as we were before pandemic, but a lot of changes and uncertainties still awaits from us. I believe that we will successfully overcome all of them as a team. At the end, Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Only in the darkness can you see the stars." COVID-19 was the darkness which has helped me to find myself, but only because I chose so. My message to you is, accept this time of new normality as a challenge. Try to find your stars in the darkness. Try to stay positive. The coronavirus pandemic has taken a lot of things from us. The deaths of loved ones, good health, jobs, economic stability. It has taken away our old way of life, but we can choose to build the new one right now. So stay well and safe. Thank you. Now I will stop my presentation, and now I would like to invite Mr. Stevens Chen from Malaysia. He's the next speaker. So, Mr. Stevens Chen, he's a community worker, social activist, and entrepreneur. His topic is Resilience Recipe, Turning Darkness into Light. If your life is a movie and you are the hero in your own movie, what story do you tell? This provocative question is the core of the presentation by Stevens Chen, a self-seeking businessman who lost his eyesight, wealth, self-worth, and emerges from the rock bottom to serve the disabled community through the social activism. Mr. Stevens Chen, it's your story time. Welcome.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for the kind introduction, and very enlightening to hear your sharing. First and foremost, I want to thank the organizer, ARTDO International, for this kind invitation, and for this I have to thank Ms. Vitano, Dr. Atik, and Dr. Peter Lee for the kind invitation. Yes, I was supposed to share a topic about resilience. And I do believe every human is resilient. Yeah, by the very fact that we are still around today, facing the many challenges that is always around daily. Yeah, the only thing that is sure about our life on a daily, if you look at it from a daily point of view, is the constant change. And today, the only non-change I look at it is all of us are stuck in our little space right now, somewhere all around the world, listening to, Andrea, myself, and our next speaker, Mr. Eric from Holland. And this, in a way, when you look at the bright side, is by itself, opportunity where we were all connected. Though we are in our own space, yet we are all connected. And for me, that connection was what caused me to bounce back. I am 58 now. I used to be a very active entrepreneur, focusing on only one thing, and that is to be wealthy and powerful. And so I thought I had achieved that when at the age of 40, that was about 18 years ago, in the year 2002, I landed my firm with a multi-million contract, which would guarantee me to become a millionaire at the age of 40. My mother used to say that a man will become more mature when they turn 40 and will become a dragon, as the Chinese say. But how was I to know that I would be turning into a blind dragon instead? I had a severe headache prior to getting my first check. And lo and behold, the doctor told me I have contracted glaucoma, an eye disease that has no cure today. And it took me, I was shocked. I didn't know how to react or how to respond to that news. From fighting for wealth, now I have to fight to keep my eyesight. But to no avail, because in 5 years, despite 9 surgeries and countless treatments and eye drops, I still lose it all. At the age of 45, my world that I love to see, suddenly turned black. I see nothing. The only thing I see is voices, hearing a lot of voices. So it was a very depressing moment for me. I contemplated ending it all, suicide. I can still laugh about it right now because it's easy to think of suicide. But when you come to doing it, it's never easy. I'm always surprised at how people can commit suicide, yet they don't have the guts or the resilience to face the challenges. I believe ending it all is never the answer. And when I decided to come back out of it, it was also a struggle because I was anchoring, I guess, my resilience on self. I bounced back, but because I wanted to prove that I'm still a useful human being, I wanted to get accepted again into society, that even though I'm blind now, yet I am still able and capable. And so I ended up giving my wife a lot of problems because of that. Imagine before I lose my eyesight, I was already like a headless chicken running around. Now this headless is a blind chicken now. So I really give my family a lot of problems. And then transformation came when I found faith in God. And then I started to anchor on no longer wanting to prove myself again to the world. Thanks to the love and support of my wife, who silently suffered all kinds of unnecessary problems from me. It was because of the love, because of the family support, I bounced back. Through serving others. And in those years, I've been a social worker for the last 9 years, really. And throughout this journey, today allow me to just share which I call it a recipe, which I observe in a lot of our friends with disabilities. Many of them who came back out to face their adversities. And I call it the triple A battery. It's about acceptance, accepting your condition. It's about once you accept your condition, you will adapt. And that begins a transformation. Because when you adapt, you are not stagnating yourself. You are adapting, and many of them begin to adapt to the condition because they are accepting who they are right now. And also, of course, the acceptance comes with much family and friend support. Once they accept, once they adapt, just like me, I adapted to being a blind man. Yeah, I used to, when I became blind, I didn't carry a white cane simply because to me at that time, a white cane was a sign of weakness. But when I accepted my condition and adapted to it, I accepted my white cane. And my white cane became my cane of power. It was like in the Star Wars movie, it became a lightsaber for me. So, I get VIP treatment, visually impaired person treatment at the airports. I don't have to queue up for customs. So, when I begin to enjoy that small little privilege there. And when you adapt to condition, you became more aware of your condition. You become more aware of the people around you. And this was always the triple A recipe that I see, not only in me, but a lot of the other disabled people that we serve has decided to come up from whatever condition they are and to face the challenges they need. But I also notice, and this is where I will end, it's how are you anchoring your resilience? Are you anchoring it on self-satisfaction, self-gratification? People used to call me a resilient person too. Before I lose my eyesight, I would bounce back from a lot of challenges, but that resilience was very selfish. I wanted to prove my worth. I wanted to be rich and powerful so that I'll be recognized. But now I find myself more peaceful, more joyful. I don't have to prove myself to anybody. And that's because I anchored it on love. Yeah? Love for God, love for my family, love for my wife, love for the people I serve. And so I hope to end it here. Um, where are you anchoring your resilience on? Where I would suggest to you to anchor it on love. I hope, I shouldn't be saying I hope, because COVID-19 has changed all of us as we all look forward to today. COVID is really a past case. Um, all of us will have bounced back simply because we anchored our resilience on love for humanity. As we all look towards the new year with hope, I wish everyone the best of health and we can all overcome COVID um, with it. Thank you very much and God bless you. So, yeah, most I say.
Andrea, please unmute. Andrea, please unmute. We can't hear you.
Huh?
Sorry. Thank you. So thank you to Mr. Chen. Our last speaker comes from the Netherlands, Mr. Eric de Graaf. He's the Director of Governance and Innovation at the Ministry of Defense in Netherlands. As a director in the central government of the Netherlands, Eric is a practitioner with a wide experience in IT, security, management, and policy making for governance and innovation. His topic is Resilience Stories from Insights Gained from National Defense and Security Experiences. Mr. de Graaf, the word is yours.
Hello there. Can you hear me, Andrea? And do you see my presentation?
Yes, Mr. De Graaf, your presentation is coming through loud and clear.
Ah, nice. Well, nice for having me. I will tell something from out my own experience and the experience of military people. And the subtitle is Leading in Times of Crisis and Change. And I want to try the next slide. And of course, I'm not the first to look at the military as an inspiration. What can you learn from them? The famous Simon Sinek did the same before me. So I'll try to be better than him. Of course, talking about the resilience, it's dealing with adversity. And here you see a slide from a old military man, Patrick John Sweeney. And in the functioning as a person over time, you got to deal with adversity. You see at the top, and then resilience is after a dip bouncing back. Of course, if you are not that resilient, you can go functioning on a lower level. It's called disorder. Invulnerable happens not so many times with a real crisis, and sometimes even people grow because of a crisis or adversity. So that's, for me, resilience. And I'm not talking about the Netherlands MOD and resilience and adaptivity. I'm also quoting from some international research. And I thought the Canada's competency was most adequate here. For change capacities, two competencies are particularly relevant. Leaders with high degrees of resilience and stress tolerance will be able to resist stasis and mental immobility and remain capable of adapting to new and unexpected challenges. And that's what we test people for who come in the military. Are they stress tolerant and resilient? So if you have something like a traumatic event in your youth and you were able to cope with that, that's a good sign. We need people to cope with stress. And we have our own center for expertise on leadership, and they made some courses to get young officers and NCOs to learn about leadership. And that's in the title, To Be a Leader, Do and Learn. So you got to reflect on your actions to learn from that. That's very important in a military organization. And we use a sort of compass rose, with north, south, east, and west to tell the model. And we have 4 roles which are important. And you see in this compass rose that we go from outside, the context, the environment, to the theme, to me, the person, yourself, the soldier, the leader of men.
We have just lost Mr. Eric. I hope he will come back soon. We'll just wait for him. I hope he will come back soon. In the meantime, I will tell you something about Mr. Eric. Now, Mr. Eric, for 5 years, he was a member of the government-wide board of HR directors with leaderships and talent management as one of his special topics. 30 years ago, he went as an officer on a military humanitarian relief mission in North Iraq with the Dutch armed forces and wrote a book about this operation. At this moment, he is a director of governance and innovation in the Ministry of Defense. His special topics are leaderships, social innovations, and culture change within the ministry. So I hope Mr. Eric will come back soon to join us. If not, well, in meantime, perhaps I have a question for Mr. Chen, and when Mr. Eric will come back, we will continue with his presentation. So now I would like to ask Mr. Chen, if Mr. Chen, can you share with us the mistakes that you have made on your business path in your life? And those mistakes were at the same time the best learning lessons for you. What did you at the moment focus on at that time? Mr. Stevens, the microphone is mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I've made a lot of mistake, Andrea. So for me to really pinpoint on one mistake is because of selfish, very self focused. Yeah. As a leader, when I look at it, running my own organization at that time, I was a kind of leader that I tell you, you don't do, I do. So, which in a way made me very stressed, uh, and in a way pushes other people as well, and not allowing, not giving the space for others to perform. And that's because I was very focused on wanting to gain acceptance. So that was where the mistake is. If I were to pinpoint that, as compared to now, I having to work with children and youths with different forms of disabilities. They are in many ways teaching me as much as I share and coach them to work out their capabilities. They teach me about patience. They teach me about acceptance. And most importantly, they teach me about laughter. That hey, it's all right to do a mistake. It's all right to do wrong. It's part and parcel of journey. And sometimes, if I were to reflect on it, was it because they were so used to it, whereas as compared to me when I was cited to it, accepting failures was embarrassing. Um, just wanted to be successful. But for them, they taught me that they are how they are right now. And there's nothing for them to prove. And because of that relaxed, that attitude, I guess, if you can say that, of accepting who they are really, that they are able to move on. Yeah. My biggest mistake, as I said, is yeah, because I was just too anchored on wanting to prove myself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Eric is not back yet, so we will continue the question. With questions. Yes, Eric.
Andrea, there's a different Eric here.
Yes.
Would you like to? I just got hold of your slides. Would you like me to try to share your photos on your garden so that you can brief everyone a little bit on your garden?
Yes, you may.
Okay, let me try that out.
This year was
coming through.
Yes. This year was a really special year, because of gardening. We had a lot of vegetables at home.
Oh, wow. That's a good thing.
Oh, that's very good.
Okay, let's try to give it a minute and see if the slides are coming through. Oh, okay. There are some questions on the tab. Maybe while waiting for the slides to come through, we can look at the questions.
Yes.
Okay, over to you.
Yes, we have a question for Stevens. What is true resilience and how can it serve you as a leader?
Resilience is the ability to bounce back. Like I was sharing, as a leader, how do you anchor your resilience is always the main factor in how you are bouncing it back. Are you bouncing it back with uh, joy, or are you bouncing it back with even more anxiety? So if it's my sharing, it's as a leader, sometimes being resilient is also being aware of the people around you. We may be able to bounce back at a higher level than some other of our team members. So if we can learn to accept their weakness, yeah, or their strength, and as we adapt to them, I guess our team will be, yeah, much more stronger.
Okay, thank you. Now we have the next question. And the next question is for both of us. Now, Stevens and Andrea, what advice would you give to your 18 years old self? So I will answer the first. I must say I'm grateful for my path in my life, and I wouldn't change anything. There were the moments which were not easy. There were hard moments, but I'm grateful for all these tough times because all these tough times for me were a learning. So today I am who I am because of my experiences in my private life and in my business path. So I wouldn't change anything. Just but the most important is never give up. When it's hard, when you don't see how to solve some situation, there's always a positive option. But just sit down, think about it, and stand up and go on and continue. Now, Stephen, the word is yours.
I wish I could change a lot of things to make at the age of 18. But if I have to reflect, then I would just put it this way. Before I lose my eyesight, if you ask me then, I would say I would have worked harder. I would have studied harder instead of spending my time doing a lot of unnecessary stuff, which was a key. Uh, it was important for my journey, I guess. But then I would not have appreciated those experiences. Yeah. Looking back at it right now, I kind of appreciated from that experience. And if you ask me now, I don't think I would want to change anything, because that was uh, a learning journey, which gave me a lot of experiences in my life journey.
Okay. I have also one question for you, Stevens.
Yeah.
What is your advice to people who are today afraid to lose their financial stability or their job in this time of coronavirus pandemic? What should they focus on today?
I think they should, I forgot this wise man saying, but he says, between reacting and responding, there's a space. And that space is your choice. So my advice is, don't react to it, but rather, despite all those challenges, yes, it's very stressful, very depressing, very pressing at the same time, because you need to put food on the table. But I don't think you will be able to gain anything from being too over anxious about it. The COVID will not be going away, but maybe we should just sit back, uh, look at it calmly. It's tough, yeah, but it's my advice. Yeah, sometimes when you look at many situations that you cannot change, the only thing you can change is your attitude towards it. And if you can change your mindset towards what is happening around, I believe you'll be able to innovate and find a suitable solution for you to overcome whatever challenges that is going on right now. Yeah. Just sharing a thought. The other day, we read in the newspaper of a pilot in Malaysia who was retrenched and lost his job. He is now a Grab food deliverer. He's delivering food on motorbike. So yeah, he learned how to survive from that, and he is earning, though not as much as it was before, but at least he's earning at least 60 to 70% of his income.
Thank you. I must say I had the same challenges in my life before. When there was the economic crisis in our country 10 years ago, I have lost my job too. But I went to the farm and helped my parents, and I tried to find something to get me through these hard times. And it's always a way. Now, Mr. De Graaf is not back yet, so we will continue with questions. And now I believe today we will talk a lot about virtual management. But Stevens, the question for you is: virtual management now our new reality to which we should get used to in our future, or we will go back as it was before the COVID?
Would you want to go back to as it was before the COVID? Would you want to go back? I've always in the past weeks I've been reflecting over before COVID and after COVID, and what lessons have I learned? Um, is it really all dark, or was there some light in that darkness? I think the restore management for all of us, I would encourage is to look at what changed for the better. Pivot. Stories of family members became stronger, well bonded. They spent more time together with each other. And of course, I heard a lot of negative stories about families who couldn't uh, handle the stress, started taking out on the family members. Yes, they are plus minus. There's always pros and cons. And I think when we look at restoring it back to, question is, do you want to go back to where it was before COVID?
Yes, it's a very good question. My answer is also the same. I would like to keep some new habits because right now, when I work mostly from home, my life is much easier. Now I hope Mr. Eric is back. Oh, Mr.
Yes.
Eric is back. Yes.
Welcome back,
Mr.
Eric.
Eric, you can continue now.
Where did I fall out?
Oh, I think it was about third, fourth slide.
Oh. And now do you see something?
Yes, now we see.
Did you see this slide before?
Yes, yes, we did.
And this?
Yes, this too.
And this?
Yes, this was too.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then what we can learn from international research from some countries like America, also the Netherlands, Canada, but also Indonesia, South Africa, is how they see adaptive leadership. And of course, you have in the military different levels of leadership. The political level, where you get the guidelines to operate, strategic, operational, and at the lowest level, what we call the boots on the ground, the tactical level, you have to cope with all different kinds of stressors. Like, for instance, it's summed up here with information overload, anger, physical injuries, loss of life, lack of sleep, too many to mention, and we have categorized them, but I go something faster because of the time and don't take you in all the details. And of course, Some things are external, like weather, climate, enemy, the danger, and then the friction you get, the chaos in a certain mission. Because no plan will survive the first contact with the enemy. It's an old saying. So your plans are not for long. So you have to respond. You have to be adaptable. And this kinds of being adaptable are mental. It's between the ears, we say, interpersonal. It's a physical level, and it's a team level. All different kinds of adaptivity you have to work with. And one of the characteristics of a adaptable leader is he must be to be adaptable. He must be effective, resilient, and he must be open to experience and achievement motivation, as well as the focus or internal locus of control, sense of coherence, and a tolerance for ambiguity and willingness to learn. So respond to situations which are not clear, which are not over apparent and logic, but you have to cope with it, and you have to not only respond and learn from all these situations. And so, do we seek a Rambo? No, we seek young people, men and women, who have these adaptive capabilities, and we call it in our PR learn to lead. If you want to be an officer, you will be trained by us, but you have to have some basic characteristics of personality things. Also, very basic is that the team is more important than you. It's always about the team, operating in a team. That's a book by a Dutch general. And I will walk through this more fastly. How do you cope with fear, and how do you lead your team between fear? And there are some very basic actions to take in that. And you've got to be a secure base as a leader, not only to be interested and to have empathy in your staff. You must try to understand. So rephrase if one of your teammates expresses something. Be clear what they mean. Let you be clear what you mean. And you got to show vulnerability as a leader to gain trust also. So be a secure base. And this definition is used by different speakers before. Watch out for your own health, and try to create a new balance and be healthy yourself and with your teammates. And what to do is to connect better to others, express what you need also, and ask other teammates what they need, and learn from your emotions. What I'm just saying, try to read and understand them from your teammates, and tell your emotions. And don't forget humor in a team. And not only seeing of course, as a humans, we developed seeing the threats, the enemy, but also try positive about the things you think they are good, and be positive, and never ask why did this happen to me, just like the speaker before me, but what now? What accept the faith, accept the evidence, and go on. And discover what you can do now, also for your team. Keep course, so be decisive, have focus. What are we going to do? And do what you got to do as a team leader, and be responsible, and also give structure to your days and tasks, just what Andrea was telling about her personal life. So many things I think we already know. Listen to your body, also that is said by different speakers before me. Have enough sleep, but it's also the things the military learn. What inspires you, give you energy, what brings you joy, and do those things also. And of course, as a teacher, you never got to focus on the don'ts, so I don't. And then one of the last slides, what is, as a former officer of the American Department of Defense, calls his leadership framework, you got to have inherent motivation. And you have got to have an outward leaning orientation, and share the risk with your team. So don't sit in an office and direct them. You got to have a sort of same common lifestyle. If the food is bad, you also eat the less food. And in order, be competent, be loyal, be trustworthy. And I don't focus on it. This is how you can create more trust in your team by being a good leader. What you can do as an organization. At the bottom side, you see that what you can do, and create a trust boost in the team. Also, this is a different book from Patrick John Sweeney about leadership in dangerous situations. And last, the attributes of a trusted leader: be competent, be loyal, be honest, lead by example, confident, courageous, have self-control, having composure, and share your information. As a team, share the information and analyze, and be decisive after that. That was my presentation.
Thank you to Mr. Eric. Now, Mr. Eric, I have one question for you. Now, can you tell me, is it easier to motivate people in the military than in other organizations? Somehow, I believe that for the people in the military, it is easier to follow the leader's rules, or I'm wrong?
Well, it's of course a culture which exists in the military, and because of the training and the exercises and of the missions, you over and over you have to be confronted with your leadership. That's also in training situations where it is relatively safe. So I would say that it's more easy for us because it's all over the place. These leadership themes I mentioned. But I think, and many a leader of many an officer who is going with pension will do master classes or training courses to learn in other organizations, to teach in other organizations these ways. So it's not only for military, but yes, I think it's more part of our DNA. Yes.
Thank you. Perhaps the last advice, Mr. De Graaf. How can we remain calm and positive in this situation?
I think that's not so different for military as it is for other speakers I heard. So keep your own health in place, be positive, which are the things which energize you, give structure to your day, be with other people, like you told Andrea, do more with your family. So I think that's a bit the same.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have one more question here that was posted in the events section, Andrea. Let me read it out. This is a participant from Korea who asked, do you think empathy is quite important in motivating learning competencies? And do you think empathy can be made up of not only emotional aspects, but also culture, environment, and regulations or policies? This question was not directed to any of the speakers. Maybe you all can decide whom to take up the question.
I will be very short. I do believe that empathy is very, very important because if you want to lead the people, you have to listen to them. But the empathy is not only important for your employees, but it's also important for the customers. You have to know what are their expectations, and I think you have to follow. You have to follow them and to give them the best what you could. So that's for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more questions on your side, Andrea?
No, I think I don't have any questions, and the question answer. Okay, now, yes, we have a question to Eric. How to build resilience in soldiers requires a holistic approach to soldier development, and leaders must recognize each soldier is unique and will react to stressors differently.
Well, I totally agree with the person with Enda, because we're thinking of soldiers to be like they were the uniform, that they are all the same. But of course, we know they are not all the same. People relate different to stress. We can, of course, train people to stressful situations, which we do. But yes, every soldier is unique. And as a team leader, maybe as a lieutenant, you know your people, and you know which one are having more difficulty than others. So you will address them and relate to them to know their strong and weak points. So that's true. They're not all uniform, the same people.
Thank you. I think that was our last question. We are already out of the time. So I would like to thank our speakers, to Mr. Stevens and to Mr. Eric, to share with us their stories and for the answers, as well as to all the participants for the questions. I hope this session was helpful and educating for all of you. Thank you and goodbye. Stay safe and be well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you very much to our distinguished speakers. Our next session, the session workshop number 6, NIEC has already begun. Please make your way to the final session before the closing ceremony. See you.